Today I return to give the masses what they crave. A new edition of Monster Ecology. But today, we will not be ecologizing a monster of Dungeons and Dragons. No, not a Pathfinder or Warhammer. No, my friends. We're not talking about Palladium Fantasy. We're talking about Within the Ring of Fire. Today, we will embark on Monster Ecology 1 for Within the Ring of Fire. And what better place to start inside that blazing inferno? We're going to be speaking about the Eld Jotnar. Now, commonly enough, in the tongue of Pelgan, you might recognize them as fire giants, but this is hardly what these Jotun of tremendous strength and size and cunning and power call themselves. They are the Eld Jotnar, standing over 25 feet tall. Their bodies are a living, burning inferno. But beneath that flame coat, that living, licking aspect of the elder creator Morgul that spun them into existence, they are blocky-featured humanoids whose skin is the color of coal, the color of night. And that flame inside them burns from the moment these spirits are born until it extinguishes at the time of their death and their body crumbles to ash. While some of them covet the finer things in life of gold and gems and all the opulence one can imagine, many live quiet, austere lives on the very, very end of the world. You see, the world itself is a flat disk that extends to waterfalls that crash into steam that could burn not only the flesh, but the muscle, and perhaps even the bone from one unwise enough to get close, but is beyond that steam that the living embodiment of fire exists. The thousand-faced one, Morgul, the elder creator who spun these Jotun into existence at its command, and inside its body, these Jotun live, often in quiet meditation and pondering of the true power of flame, but to be used in a moment's notice should the plans of their liege be necessary. They provide the roles of sages and warlords and warriors in the army of fire. And they have, throughout the recorded periods of history, marched from the edge to the center of the world to embattle with the forces of Nith and Cold. And they have won many of these battles. So there are records and accounts of these Jotun, 25 feet tall, in legions, marching through lands, burning fields and forests as they pass. For you see even their footfalls as they come upon the earth leave burned, scorched marks. This flame does not discriminate whether your home was made of wood or your sheep do not wish to be burned, for fire consumes all, but fire cleans as well. And fire burns away the horrible things of night, for the flames themselves are the last element that binded the world of Kavega Thale together in one beautiful combination of elemental might and majesty. And these giants are of tremendous majesty, though often their look is blocky and perhaps primitive and simplistic to an ignorant eye. Those who are wise know not to attempt to exploit this, for it is no weakness, and these spirits are likely vastly more intelligent than any sapient individual that is to look upon them, for they are, as all giants, spiritual creatures. They are not the abomination of flesh that you will be portraying. They are freedom and liberation, servants that live for time beyond the scope of those who normally die. But still, they are not immortal, for there is only one thing that is truly immortal. But we'll get to that later in our tales, won't we, my friend? What we'll get to here is telling you of these Jotuns. For they have many kings in their own right, giants who have thought themselves perhaps worthy to contend for vacant thrones of divinity, perhaps, and to ascend. And there are fire cults, cults of flame, incineration, and inferno that exist, often hidden in the outer islands of the world, where Farum and Freying and even sirens may come to worship these powerful creatures, hoping that one day they may become divine, and that they, through their sacrifice and piety, may be rewarded with position, grand, and a place in the heaven that this giant comes to make, and a place as a saint. And they piously move through the world. And there are even artifacts that perhaps your catalyst may acquire one day that have been smithed in the flame of Morgul. Swords and crowns and rods that have powers perhaps unknowable to you. But what if you could acquire those secrets and pry them from the iron, pry them from the gold, and learn them for yourselves and have them under your thrall? Well, there are many things, relics of past ages that still persist, where giant kings have been toppled, themselves turned to broken coal, extinguished and dead. For even the strongest forces of flame do have their enemies, and their enemies are abundant. So it's a cautionary tale to make sure that when you see the flaming one coming towards you, that you move and you run as far away and as indifferent a direction as you possibly can from them. Pray they are not coming for you, because they are fast, they move quickly, and they have mystical might that may be confusing and unorthodox, as well as the power of Morgul itself. And you will never be safe, for where there is burning flame, they may persist, even in those hollow temples of Morgul that exist throughout the world, from its edges to its center. There are often large ritual flames built in the center of these places, and when you enter into these warm places and feel the sweat upon your brow, just perhaps for a moment as the sweat runs dry, you will see something that seems to be standing in the middle of that enormous flame. And it may be something that you are able to see through your sweaty, salty tears. It could perhaps be a sleeping giant. And when you see such a thing, you should well know that the temples of Morgul are well protected and guarded from the likes of you, infidel. Perhaps it is best not to attempt to sack and raid and raze this place to the ground for your own gain, and what you gain may be the end of your life. When you're examining these giants, you must remember to attack them. If you are so brazen and bold with their own weaknesses, you must use what is most anathema to fire. You must bring water, the forces of Leviathan, to bear against them, to drown out the living liquid flame upon them with the pure essence of the elder creator of the seas, of the streams, of the rivers. And when you do that, then perhaps, just perhaps, you will have a moment to run. Because the fury of something forged inside the heart of flame is something, I pray, to whichever of the divinities will hear my words, that you never have to face. The fire giants of my world, the El Jotnar, are very different from what you will find in other worlds. Though they are smiths and have a connection to fire, they are also sages. They are also intellectuals. They lead private cults and hopes like many other spirits, that they will be the one to rise up and claim divinity in this constant attempt to gain power, and then to reward those who helped you. Perhaps not, but there are many who you may step upon. All of these things should be taken into account if you are interested in encountering the Iljotnar within the Ring of Fire. If you're interested as a flame tender and using them, they are very intelligent, they are very quick-witted, and they have a strong force of presence to command those before them. But how much of that is even really needed when what speaks to you is 26 feet of burning fire? I certainly would listen, and I hope you will as well. And when thinking about them, what should immediately come to mind is that awesome visage of heat and flame, and something that is beyond your comprehension and powerful in a way that perhaps nothing else you will ever see in the world is. Remember, the giants, like many spirits, sleep for tremendous periods of time and know things of history that have happened, events, but at the same time can be wholly ignorant of much, particularly in the current era, if they have emerged from a long slumber. And these bits can well be exploited against them. But wait, that's not all. For those of you who always wanted to play a burning inferno with a mind as elegant as the flame of the body, do not feel that you have to look any further, for within the Ring of Fire, even characters like this are acceptable. Now, not to every game, not to every saga that's told, but the game itself designs to be able to accommodate vast amounts of sagas. The tale told of a group of Iljotnar who carefully are attempting to work towards elevating their king to divinity, or tearing down the cult of a different Jotun who is attempting to ascend. Where you are telling this intricate story of politics and morality and shifts and changes, backgrounds, perhaps a greed and lust and desire for the glittery things that fell from the sky that is called the blood of Armada, the gold, and those crowns. Perhaps you will be the one to, at the last moment, as your king rises to divinity, grab his leg and level your killing blow to only snatch his spot for yourself. Perhaps you are going to the center of the world in the frozen flames to build a new church of fire and battle against the frozen menaces of the Nif and Nifland and those screaming wraith winds that do not forget and are nothing but the antithesis of forgiveness. There are many, many tales that can be told, and that is the aspect and design of this game, to tell the story that your flame tender wants, to bring a saga with a focus and a directive, with a flair for engaging the different possible aspects of theology, of politics, of city building, as opposed to your simple design of dungeon delving and such. But you don't think that such things are not easily accomplished, and the setting as well. But more is designed and outlined and explained. So, this has been our first installment of Monster Ecology for Within the Ring of Fire. I look forward to hearing your comments below.